And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Welcome into RBLR Sports. I am Eureka, and as always, or at least the past 2 weeks in our lifespan here, I'm with Masab. Masab, man, how's it going?
It's going well, Eureka. It's another wonderful day to talk about sports.
Yes, sir. And I think it's nice to start off with our boys in Pewter, and they get the 38-31 victory over the LA Chargers. It's always good to see Tampa Bay winning and continuing to be in good form. What were your overall thoughts with the win over the Chargers?
It was a game to remember. As a Bucs fan, it was something I haven't seen in a while. Tom Brady, first of all, I would have never thought he'd be wearing a Buccaneers uniform. Still accepting that. Exactly. But Tom Brady throwing 5 touchdown passes, kind of changing the whole script in the second half. First half was looking. First few minutes was looking okay. They got that touchdown and it was decent. However, right after that, the Chargers just came right at him, and it was really, first of all, impressive to see how Justin Herbert, a rookie quarterback, is working with a professional, football team now compared to college football. But I thought they played absolutely amazing. I think there was a few things, that need to be worked on. Still a little iffy about these interceptions that Brady's throwing, but it's it is what it is. I think it's a matter of time that he'll be clicking a little better with the offense, and obviously he's getting a little bit older, so his vision's kind of changing a little bit, but it's things happen. It's obviously you can't expect him to be the same kind of Brady he was a few years ago. But I mean, that 17-point margin is tied for one, I think maybe the first or second biggest kind of comeback for the Buccaneers to win a game. It was definitely something really nice to see. A variety of players really stepping up. First of all, our tight end unit, Cameron Brate, with the 3-yard touchdown after the 75-yard drive. And from there, Brady was pushing it down the field in the second half, connecting with Scotty Miller, Mike Evans, O.J. Howard, and Rob Gronkowski on big gains that, caused some wonderful scoring drives. Definitely a shout-out to O.J. Howard for 3 catches, and 50 yards. Unfortunately, after that, he had to leave the game. And not just leave the game, but had to say goodbye to the season, at least what's reported now, with a season-ending Achilles injury. So that's a little unfortunate, but we still got Brate and Gronkowski, and hopefully we can work with them, for this upcoming Bears game. And something else I just also want to highlight is our defense was a little sloppy in the first half. I think it was a little bit on both sides. I think Chargers offense was looking decent. Obviously not the best, but Eckler was doing a fine job until he got injured, and our defense was just, I guess, didn't have that vision, or you weren't really maybe prepared for the Chargers kind of offensive game. But fortunately, from the last 50 seconds of the first half till the end of the game, after halftime, I think the Buccaneers defense was very dominant. I love the interceptions, especially towards the end of the game, sealing the win. And even I totally kind of forgot, even the rookie running back is Sean Vaughn was he definitely played a nice role to it too. So that was really nice. Kind of just seeing seeing after having some injuries with Fournette and Godwin, it was nice to see Brady work with a variety of players. It was nice
Yeah.
to see how some players that you wouldn't think would be, making a difference in a game like this. Keshawn Vaughn, or I'm sure anyone other than Keshawn Vaughn, or, other than, I'm sure Cameron Brate, they could have got those touchdowns that, Vaughn and Brate got. But it was nice seeing that those players were kind of able to finally get some notice by the fans and by the coaches that, hey, we can score too. Um, Nakamada Sue forced fumble, Devin White kind of recovering for the Bucs at the 7 yard line. That definitely kind of changed the momentum towards the Buccaneers' direction. And who knows, maybe, Bruce Arians, probably gave him a nice talk, as well, in the locker room during halftime. So
Yeah, yeah, it's big because even he said post game that, like, when we stop beating ourselves, we have a chance. And for that Tampa Bay defense to only give up 7 points actually in the third quarter was the only points that the Chargers had the rest of the game. Coupled with pounding the ball with what's his name, Jones, and having him really step up with his 100-yard rushing game, it just goes on, along with the 5 different touchdown, 5 different receivers for 5 different touchdowns for Tom Brady, and it was good to see that once they stopped. I mean, I don't know if they underestimated the Chargers. I think you definitely don't expect a rookie quarterback to come along and just kind of slice and dice the way he did in that first half. But I think once, like you said, once they're able to go into halftime, make some adjustments, it was pretty much game over, and it looked that way as soon as the Bucs took the field in the third quarter.
right, and I think, in my opinion, and how I see it with a lot of these teams and a lot of football games, I think the momentum comes a lot from one side of the team really really stepping it up, and whoever steps up first, usually that gives momentum to the other side, whether that be offense stepping it up and then defense kind of saying, all right, hey, there's some momentum created for us, now we really got to step it up, because it's obviously, no one wants to screw up. Now just
Yeah.
imagine, imagine a game like that, with Brady, throwing 5 touchdowns and then ending up losing. It's,
Uh,
it's,
yeah.
I mean, he was player of the week, and you know, had they even lost by 1 point, that just changes the whole dynamic, regardless of how well he did. Even if he had 6 touchdowns and they lost, because who knows? I don't know. Maybe some Chargers running back one, got the touchdown, or Herbert, gave a quick pass, or maybe a long pass, to one of the Chargers, receivers or something. It changes the whole dynamic. So it was
Yeah.
nice. It was nice to see how, what do you call, Levante David, Devin White, Shaq Barrett, and Sue, all definitely those my top four key players for the Bucs defense. Sue
Yep.
added, he had 2 quarterback hits, big defensive play. Levante David was an absolute animal. 11 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, and then Shaq Barrett was following up with his dominance and sacks. So it was definitely super awesome, and I think once the defense stepped up, I think that also kind of changes how the offense on the Chargers kind of acts, especially their
Yeah. Yeah.
especially their leader, aka their quarterback, Justin Herbert, the rookie, how he feels. Um, it's a lot of pressure. First of all, you
Yeah.
have you have someone like Tyrod Taylor. Can't say he's amazing, but I wouldn't say he's bad either. But you have someone that you've been following, and unfortunately, he has to sit out for some medical reasons. So you're like, yikes! Now I got to step up,
Yeah.
and now you're going against a veteran quarterback. You're doing a solid job in the first half, but now second half the game's changing, the defense is coming at you, and you're pressured, you're stressed out, and in the end, your last pass of the game gets intercepted by Carlton Davis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a nice game. It was a little intense in the first half. Mentally it was a little tough for, I feel like, a lot of fans. But the Bucs were, they were finding opportunities. They just kept on fighting and fighting, finding holes, finding soft spots of the Chargers, and turning those into opportunities. Whether that means extra yards, touchdowns. So it was good. Definitely like how Keshawn Vaughn was stepping up, for his first time, getting a big touchdown catch, and that it kind of leads me to talking about the Bucs and the Bears.
Yeah, I was going to say the Bucs now face their third straight team that are starting a backup quarterback, right? So with the Nick Foles now leading the helm for the Chicago Bears, how do you think that the Bears offense is going to stack up against this Buccaneers defense?
Well, seeing from last game with the Colts and the Bears, I think, Nick Foles, as you and I have, we can kind of agree to this, is, he's someone that, you don't expect too much from him, but
Sure.
he's kind of a safe option where, if you have to put him in, you feel comfortable putting him in. It's not like, oh, yikes, well, now he has to go in. It's like, all right, Nick, let's see what you got. I'm not expecting you to have a five touchdown game like Brady, but I'm not also expecting you to be tossing a bunch of interceptions. So
Right.
I'm hoping you do a solid job, but I don't know. I think the Bucs really, their last game with the Chargers, I think really kind of showed them how powerful they can be. I'm hoping that they don't slack off a little bit like they did, in the first half against the Chargers. I
Right.
think I'm hoping they realize that, they got momentum, and second of all, they don't need that momentum from the offense. They don't have to have that momentum and that motivation from the offense to step it up. I think Levante David and Shaq Barrett, I think they're going to be doing a great job. I think it's, for me, it's going to be for the Bears offense. The big thing I'm looking at is Nick Foles to Allen Robinson.
Yeah, okay.
The connection between them two it's been solid. Robinson has been treated kind of as, Foles' go-to guy from, massive targets and, a lot of yards. Just because also I think we have to think about how inconsistent the younger wideouts are for the Bears. So a big game, and great chemistry between a great game by Allen Robinson / good chemistry between Nick Foles and Allen Robinson might give Chicago a chance, at the upset. But on the other hand, when I'm thinking about defense. I don't think the Bears are ready for our defense.
Yeah,
I
agree.
don't think. I think we are. We've played against very different teams. I think so far. It was versus Saints, Panthers, Broncos, Chargers. I think they all had different dynamic. Some had better performances against our Bucs than others. So we're a little aware of how we need to act. But I think our defense is going to do really well. I think some some bold predictions I'm having
Okay.
are Levante David he's gonna really show his dominance as one of the best linebackers over the years on the Bucs. Um, I'm thinking at least a 2-sack performance.
Okay, 2 sacks.
A 2-sack performance for him because he's been playing phenomenal, and a shout out to him first of all as well for being I forgot what award he got, but I think it was either Defensive Player of the Week or something like that. I think the National League's Defensive Player of the Week, which is an awesome remark. He's been doing a great job and did a great job against the Chargers. So I think I'm looking at him. I'm going to be watching him first more than anyone else. But I'm also thinking our DB unit's going to be looking real good, but I'm hoping and thinking that Antoine Winfield is going to be stepping up to the plate again and dominating, especially against these wideouts. Someone like Antoine Winfield, I can trust going against these inconsistent, wide receivers on the Bucs. I'm just hoping whether it be Winfield or anyone else, or Murphy Bunting, or Edwards, we'll see that they can lock down Allen Robinson. That's what it's coming down to. I think Levante David, Devin White, Shaq Barrett, they're gonna do their job. They're gonna be controlling the game from what they can do, but it's coming down to our DBs, our secondaries, cornerbacks, safeties. It's really gonna come down to them. I think our D line's pressure is gonna definitely make Nick Foles a lot hesitant.
Yeah, I agree. So the thing is that the Colts defense, they flew around. They're really solid, but I think the Bucs front seven is just superior than the Colts in every way, and if the front seven can shut down, David Montgomery in the backfield, a lot of the offense that the Bears are going to have to rely on is kind of stuffing the run between the tackles with Montgomery, and they use him a lot. I don't know the actual stat, but looking through my notebook, every other drive, it's like they used Montgomery to rush, they used Montgomery on a screen, they used Montgomery in the passing game, because I think they were trying to trick the linebacking core of the Colts. Now, when you're going against the Levante David, Shaq Barrett, these are things that it won't be such a mismatch if they even thought there was going to be one with Montgomery coming out of the backfield. 'Cause I think they're going to try to use the aggressiveness of the Bucs, the blitzing schemes, against them with little wide receiver screens or kind of short to intermediate routes to, say, someone like Darnell Mooney, or trying to create some kind of offense with Montgomery. But it's pretty straightforward to me that if the Bucs defense can control the line of scrimmage the way that we all expect them to, they're going to keep the score really, really low, and Tom Brady might not have to have a 5-touchdown performance. So with that, I will ask you, how do you see this offense coming off of the Chargers win where they scored 38 points, but they're going to look a lot different in this game coming off on a Thursday night?
Absolutely. First of all, coming off on a Thursday night games to me are always a different kind of game for any team, no matter who they are. Chicago and Tampa Bay, they got the same record right now. Tom Brady's going to be making his second road start with the Buccaneers, but what I'm thinking right now is three things to watch at least. Well, three things to watch actually. Well, two main things I would definitely like to discuss. First of all, is the Brady to Rob Gronkowski chemistry. I think Brady's going to be leaning on his two main receivers, at least for Thursday night's game, Mike Evans and Scotty Miller. Hopefully they can play well through their injuries due to the fact that Chris Godwin and Justin Watson will be missing the game. And at tight end, Gronkowski's been a little quiet in the passing game. He's been showing some performance in these last two games, but I would definitely like more out of him. But also, I mean, can't really blame the guy. The more you think about it, he is kind of coming out of a temporary retirement. He wasn't really training. He was kind of just, I don't know. Everyone knows Gronkowski. He's just he's a party boy, party animal. He was just living his life.
Masop,
so
are you telling me that Gronkowski going to WWE and becoming the 24/7 champion wasn't training enough for the National Football League? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm telling you, it's not it's not enough. It's not enough for him to be going against these big guys.
He didn't fight John Cena or anything, but he yeah.
Yeah, no, it's one thing if he went against someone like Randy Orton or John Cena or Undertaker.
Yeah, well, Randy Orton ain't going to be in a Bears uniform this week, so I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah. But
so what was you said a Brady to Gronk chemistry is one thing to watch.
The Brady to Gronk chemistry, I think it's something to be considering. Yeah. It just depends, it just depends on what Gronk's feeling. I think the Bears have had issues, with the tight ends coverage, especially someone big and athletic as Gronkowski. So it's. And Brady, Brady's been doing a fine job. He's been doing absolutely fine. Especially last game, you could tell that he's able to. He has that tight end, that tight end vision. So he knows, when it is time for a tight end to, be getting these passes and when they're open. So at the end, it really just comes down to Rob Gronkowski, finding his role. Okay. Hopefully, it's more catching passes than dominating as a run blocker. But the second part I want to talk about is Mr. Ronald Jones. Jones has looked very good, especially in the high volumes, Bucs rushing attack. Without Leonard Fournette and LaShawn McCoy, he's gonna be the man of the hour. Obviously, I think he's going to be supported by our dynamic rookie Keyshawn Vaughn, but I'm thinking, here's my you heard my bold prediction about Levante David on the defense side.
Yes, sir.
My bold prediction for the offense is, I think Ronald Jones is going for 100 plus yards. I think so. Like Shannon Sharp says, it ain't no problem. So no Godwin, no Watson, no O.J. Howard, no McCoy, and most likely no Fournette. So, Ronald Jones is. I don't know if I could even say it's a bold prediction. It should be a prediction. Hopefully that should be true. If the Bucs play their cards right, I think Ronald Jones should definitely go over 100 yards rushing for the second consecutive week and his third time against the Bears in his career. So we hope for the best. I think it's nice to see, obviously, having a trustworthy backup, Mr. Keyshawn Vaughn, being able to get some time so, Ronald Jones can get a little rest. You always want to give someone, or you always want to have a backup who can, at least get some part of the job done. Because, if Keyshawn Vaughn goes out there, when Ronald Jones is taking his breaks and he's not performing well at all, then we're going to have to go to Mike Evans and Scotty Miller then. And, obviously, we can't be passing the whole game. We want to see some runs, especially from Ronald Jones. So I'm hoping Ronald Jones is not 100, but 1,000% ready, healthy. He's got he's got that Rojo mojo. I'm hoping Keyshawn Vaughn, he performs, even more. He's obviously going to get more opportunities. So I hope he plays his role. I'm not expecting anything out of Keshawn Vaughn, and I don't think anyone is. I think Keshawn Vaughn is just. I think he should be aware, and I think he is aware that he's got one job, and that's just to be having Ronald Jones's back.
Yeah, and what was your final thing to watch for the Bucs offense against the Bears?
Final thing to watch is just seeing how Scotty Miller and Mike Evans work together. Obviously, I feel like all eyes are going to be on Mike Evans, our star wide receiver, since along with Chris Godwin, but Godwin is out. So all eyes are going to be on Evans, the big guy, our better guy. But I've been really enjoying watching Scotty Miller. He's been a great guy so far. He's been performing really well, and I think if things don't go well with Evans, because I didn't like seeing Evans kind of go on the sideline with those those injuries last game, a little worrisome. And same thing with Scotty Miller. He's a little banged up as well, but I'm thinking if the cards are played right, as I said before, I'm really not worried about Brady too much this game. I'm more caring about, and I'm not worried about Ronald Jones. I'm hoping he just performs very well, like he did last game. My actually three people I'm really worrying about are Evans, Miller, and Keshawn Vaughn. I'm hoping Keshawn Vaughn does his role, as I just mentioned, and I'm hoping Evans and Scotty Miller have each other's back. I don't know if they're both going to have amazing games. I would love that, and if they do, it's going to be pretty locked in, at least in my opinion. They're going to win the game, because I know Ronald Jones will definitely be performing at least a decent game. So if you have Ronald Jones playing decently and Evans and Scotty Miller doing really well, it should be a guaranteed win as long as the defense does their job. So those are the three guys I'm looking at with our offense, and three guys on the defense. I'm just not even three guys. I'm just looking at the D line, which was absolutely amazing, and I'm looking at our secondaries. But now that I am thinking about it, and I do want to tell our listeners, we're talking when we're talking about our offense, I totally forgot to mention our O line, who had killer. Donovan Smith, Ali Marpet.
Well, the rookie Tristan Wirfs, man. I mean,
Tristan Wirfs, Kappa, Jensen. They've been great. So they allowed 0 sacks last game, and I'm hoping they do that tonight. On Thursday for Thursday Night Football. I'm hoping they do that again. The big worry right now is obviously Mr. Khalil Mack.
Yeah. Oh, he's a monster.
Khalil Mack, and I'm thinking about the other guy.
Roquan Smith?
Yeah, Roquan Smith. Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith. Those two guys are the two big guys I got my eyes on that I'm going to be, keeping a lookout on. But seeing the game of the Colts and, kind of getting the recap and watching the highlights of the Colts-Bears game, they weren't much of a threat to the Colts. Yeah. I can say the Colts defense is doing quite a good job. Yeah. Their offensive line, I don't know too much about, but I can say they must be at least solid or something to be stopping Khalil Mack and controlling, Smith as well. So, in the end, O-line, Miller, Evans having each other's back, Keshawn Vaughn, stepping up, making sure he has Ronald Jones's back, giving Jones some rest time, because it's going to be exhausting for someone like Ronald Jones, because everyone's gonna be having all their eyes on Ronald Jones when it comes to the rush game, the rushing game. So he's gonna be taking hard hits, that's for sure. I know, especially when it comes to rushing. I hope this doesn't happen, but I won't be surprised if Khalil Mack or Smith really bang him up maybe a few plays here and there. So that's when someone like Keshawn Vaughn is going to have to step in. So those are really all my my hot takes, at least for the Bucs. So
I'm going to ask you for one more. If
yeah,
we didn't do this last week, and if you're good on this, then I'm going to start betting money on your predictions here. But what do you think? I know we didn't plan this before, but if you had a final score prediction, what do you think is going to be the score at the end of the game?
Oof, I am thinking if the Cards had played right, I'm thinking Buccaneers 20, Buccaneers 28, Bears 10.
28-10. See, I'm close. I got 24-13. I think
Okay.
that because the Bears last week they actually I know at least through the first 3 quarters they had the time of possession over the Colts. It's just that the Bears defense really didn't stop Phillip Rivers that much, and they were able to get into position, at least kick a bunch of field goals and score a touchdown. I think that with the porous defense, from what I've seen of the zone defense of the Bears, Brady has made his name with these no-name guys, say in New England, right? That was kind of the legacy of Bill Belichick. But I think that with all the injuries, this is the time why you brought in a Tom Brady. And I know Brady came here because of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and the wonderful defense that we have. But Brady, he's still a Hall of Famer. And he hasn't really shown that he's in that like final Peyton Manning type year where he's just kind of relying on his name. He's still here and he's still playing. So I think that it's when you force a Hall of Famer to have to step up and be better than maybe what they are right now at the end of his towards the end of his career, he could find little holes in that zone defense that even Phillip Rivers and the Chargers were able to do against the Bears. Or sorry, the Colts were able to do against the Bears. So with that said, I absolutely think that the Bucs are going to score 3 touchdowns and kick 1 field goal, and that defense is going to wreak havoc on the Bears unless they come up with some cute little play, or if they happen to get a turnover that puts them into really good field position, let alone a pick six like we had last week. But other than Tom Brady making some big mistake, or there's some fumble by Jones or Vaughn or something like that, and some crazy play like that, they're not going to put they might not even score the 1 touchdown that they might score 9 to 12 points just off field goals. So that's my bold prediction, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's a very logical and solid prediction. I mean, I can definitely see it going that way as well. I think max, I think it will be 13. If anything, I don't think the Bears will get many opportunities for touchdowns. If anything, I'm thinking 7 points goes to the Foles and Allen Robinson, or I'm thinking if anything, it's going to be Foles and Robinson going down the field, and then he might Foles might get a chance to toss it to one of his other wide receivers, or maybe they get a kind of maybe QB rush or something like that, to get that touchdown. But once that touchdown happens, I think the Bucs are not going to be making mistakes like they did last game. Obviously, they don't have that much time like most teams do, going from a Sunday to Sunday. Now it's going Sunday to Thursday. But if they really do care about tonight, or they care about tonight's win, they should have been, and I'm sure they have been watching the tapes. They've been analyzing it. They've been having a game plan now that, okay, if something were to happen, how are we going to make sure it doesn't happen again? Meaning, if someone like Allen Robinson or anyone else steps up, we're going to have to make sure they stay locked down, once they get 1 touchdown. So 24-13, was that your prediction?
Yeah, I had 24-13.
Yeah, that seems good to me.
Hey man, a win is a win. I'll take, as long as it's 1 point more than them. Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think now that I do think about it, I think the Bucks will be getting a field goal opportunity, at least one. Who knows, maybe even two. So 21-10 or 24-10 are mine.
Yeah.
But
Now both of those are take the under. I guess the over under on the game is 44.5, and I don't think that. I think this, it might not even be as high scoring as this, but I just think that the Bucks are going to be almost double the score of whatever the Bears put on the.
yeah, I think so too. I think it should be a win for the Bucks if they do perform well, and a game, having a team, thinking about the Chicago Bears, I have to think about who they played before the Colts, and I'm thinking about it now was
I'm so locked into now. I don't remember 2 weeks ago.
yeah, I know.
I barely remember what I had for breakfast.
I do remember they. I don't blame you. I don't remember either. But I will say this, that I do remember them playing the Giants and winning. But Giants, I mean, didn't expect anything from the Giants.
Well,
to
they
win.
Then they played the Falcons. Like Nick Foles came in and had a really good game against Atlanta, if I remember right.
Yeah, but I don't see much from Atlanta. Atlanta also being an 0-3 team. And the Bears, Bears really stepped it up in that last quarter. I do remember that. Giants haven't been that good. So
Yeah.
Lions, I don't have much to say about the Lions as well. They haven't been too hot either. So this is going to be the first time the Bears go against someone I would say have been doing well so far. So, and they're 3-1. So we'll see how they do against another good team. And if they do perform well, whether it be a close game or not, it will be very nice to see if the Bucs do end up winning, how well a team that has banged up players and injured players performs, especially on the offensive side. The defensive side, we don't. I don't have too many worries. I just have worries about performance. But when it comes to players-wise, the offense, meaning wide receivers and running backs, losing those guys, we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, and another thing we're hoping to see work out well is our Tampa Bay Rays as they go against the New York Yankees as they go into this Thursday as we're recording. They're going into Game 4 with a 2-1 series lead against the Yankees. We're gonna take a break, and when we come back, I'm gonna go over 4 big points on why I think the Rays have done well against the Yankees and why I think they're going to continue that, either winning tonight or if it goes to a rubber match on Friday, why I think the Rays are ultimately going to beat the Yankees. All that and more on RBLR Sports.
Welcome back to RBLR Sports. This is Musab, and I'm here with Eureka. All right, Eureka, we've talked about the Buccaneers. Let's talk about the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's 4 big points that I want to make about what I think the Rays and Yankees series has gone so far. And the first and foremost, this series has been about home runs. I mean, chicks dig the long ball, and this series has been basically a home run derby. I mean, home runs have in recent history been just around half of runs created in the postseason. But last year we saw a huge dip, and even so much that in teams were complaining about the ball kind of being deadened, with balls even traveling less of a distance, but not anymore. I think that part of it is that in the playoffs, players are more focused. I mean, now we've gone through, usually 162 games, and even this year with all the with the COVID restrictions and some teams having to take off and come back and uncertainty and all these things. I think that players, now that we have real stakes, especially with the expanded playoff format, you have all these teams that they have a chance, including the Astros, who weren't even 500. They have a chance to win the World Series. So, coupled with the kind of the loss of a road disadvantage, I think that without fans in the stands, we've seen this. I think in basketball, I think we're seeing it, or we're going to see it a little more in football. Now that we're 4 weeks, 5 weeks in, we're past that kind of preseason gelling stage. You're going to see a lot of teams without fans, without like the distractions of being the road team. They're going to put up more runs. They're going to have a better offense, and you're going to see that this is what's happening in Major League Baseball. Is that in this series alone, we have 16 total home runs through 3 games. Tampa Bay has 9 home runs, and New York has 7. And, I mean, you have a guy like Giancarlo Stanton, right, for the Yankees. He has 5 hits in these 3 games. 4 of them are home runs, including the grand slam that he hit. But overall, he has 10 RBI on 4 home runs, and he's been leaps and bounds the main reason why the Yankees have they won the game they won and have been a threat in the other 2 games. So on the other side, though, out of those 9 home runs that the Rays have hit, we have an unsung hero named Randy Arozarena. So I don't know if it's that the players are they're the best players are on these better teams that have made the playoffs, because the pitching is also very, very good too. I mean, you can't tell me that guys like Garrett Cole are giving up all these home runs, Blake Snell giving up all these home runs. I think it has way more to do with being able to lock in as an offensive hitter and without any distractions. What do you think?
I think he really is an unsung hero.
Yeah.
This is kind of like it's like those movies, a dude kind of who's been playing less than 2 months in the majors steps up. He's impressing the big guys who've already been playing for a while. He's putting up, great numbers. His teammates are saying this dude it's like he's from some other planet. He's batting, .600 batting average so far this postseason. And it's really shocking. I think no one was expecting it. Maybe some very, diehard fans, they know this kind of guy, but it makes things a lot more fun. It makes things a lot more fun when something or someone like this guy comes out of nowhere and, he starts hitting these bombs, and it's like, oh man, this is great.
I mean, have you noticed this? Have you noticed that there's just been, in most of these games, it's been home runs, just left and right. There hasn't really been a lot of that small ball, hit a single, hit a double, steal a base, make a bunt, It's just been homers.
Yeah, homers. It's a good fight, it's like those. It's basically like a slugfest, It's like a boxing match instead of some technical kind of fight where both guys are ducking and they're putting some offense and defense. This is just all offense. This is just all like, what, we both got good pitchers, but we got better hitters. And it's just, at the end of the day, it's just saying, it's like, the way I'm looking at this game right now is, no one's got their gloves up when they're punching as in hitting home runs. It's all just back and forth. They're both clapping back at each other, back and forth. So it's absolutely very fun to watch. Randy has been just absolutely killing the Yankees on the field so far during this series. You know, he's homered in all 3 games so far. His batting, his batting, stats have been amazing. 8 hits, 5 runs, only 1 strikeout.
Yeah.
So he's right now. It's the postseason spotlight. I think everyone can kind of agree. If for those who do watch baseball, the postseason spotlight is shining directly on Randy Oh man, how do I say it?
Arozarena. Yeah, no, I was. That's
Arozarena.
Yeah, that's the second point that I was going to make is that this is the Randy Arozarena show, man. I mean, we had talked about it just against the Yankees, okay? Just in the 3 games against the Yankees, but even before that, this hasn't been a fluke. He did so in the 2 games against the Toronto Blue Jays, but he's hitting, 2/3. He's at .667 batting average, 3 home runs, right, and 1 in each game, 3 RBIs, and like you said, he's only struck out once, and we're talking. That's against Garrett Cole. He's been doing good, but not just the homers though. Him has been hitting. He's one of the guys that gets on the base so that when Ji-Man Choi, hits a double, he's the guy that's scoring from first because he was moving on the first pitch. So the Rays are using all of his talents, and him hitting early in the lineup is a huge reason why the Rays have been able to get out early on the starting pitching, and to think back that he got his shot because of an injury to Austin Meadows. So now you have a rookie who he came up in the St. Louis Cardinals organization, and he was the add-on. He was the throw-in to a trade that Tampa Bay made in the offseason because they were looking to get Jose Martinez, who's a great contact hitter who hadn't completely panned out for the Cardinals. The Cardinals were looking for more power out of Martinez, and Martinez is a sound defensive player who hits the ball for contact and for on-base percentage, but not necessarily for slugging. Well, the Rays were like, well, that's what we do. We bring in all these guys from Japan or wherever, and we say, if you have tools, we can use them in some form or fashion. So you bring in a guy like Jose Martinez, giving up a first-round prospect in Matthew Liberatore, but Arozarena's thrown in. He's the afterthought. He's the player to be named later. Well, there he is. Well, it turns out that all Arozarena does is hit with very high velocity. And so that's how he gets a lot of these extra base hits. He has been belting home runs, but that hasn't been what we expected out of Arozarena, even when he was coming up in the Cardinals system. But his ability to generate doubles because of his speed, he can hit a single or a double to the gap and turn that into 1 extra base. And the Rays have definitely capitalized on that. Now, his slugging percentage, though, could possibly be contributed. It could be because of he caught COVID-19 earlier, right? And so he was under quarantine. So we were all in quarantine, right? Well, while I gained 15 pounds, so did Randy Arozarena, but his 15 pounds were from a strict diet of chicken and rice and 300 push-ups a day. My 15 pounds are from maybe a few bottles of wine and some chips I had in the pantry, right? So this dude, all he does with his quarantine is gain 15 pounds of muscle, come back looking ripped, looking shredded, and knocking home runs left and right in the playoffs. It's ridiculous. I love it. It's a story. You write movies about this kind of stuff where a guy comes out of nowhere. He originally from Cuba, comes to America, and now he's killing it on a national stage. It's ridiculous. It's amazing. I love it.
This is it's times like these where you really appreciate when this is what you call the love of sports, and this is why sports is amazing. Stars or not stars, but people like these guys who come out of nowhere, they slowly work their way up. They work hard for it too, and there are T-shirts now. that is say, welcome to the, Randy Arozarena show. And I mean, this is his time right now. Um, you know, Obviously there's always kind of those, like in music, there's like those one hit wonders who kind
Yeah.
of pop out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I don't wish that on anyone. So, but I'm hoping he gets better and better. He is a young guy, so it's not like his time's coming to an end, and now he's doing well. I mean, his future and his career in the major leagues has just started.
Yeah.
He's doing real good, and I think also, when someone like him starts, performing really well, you're watching this dude, start tormenting the Yankees, who are seen as, a threat to the Rays. I think for the Rays management, the coaching staff, they're like, all right, you know what, we can depend on this guy. This guy's not just, hey, do your job and, just make sure we win. This is, hey, we really need you to pop off tonight. And something like that, in my opinion, that's just how, players just become better and better. It's, their responsibility and role improves. So, I think big things are coming ahead for Randy Arozarena, if not already.
Well, it's a killer outlook for this front office, right? I mean, the Rays have just been associated with finding diamonds in the rough, retreads, guys who need a second chance, guys who didn't get a shot, and that's like a Arozarena. He's kind of not lost in that shuffle. It's just that when you're on a team like the Cardinals, like, they can bring in guys and they can buy a free agent or they can do something like that, where a team like the Rays come in and say, as long as you do one or two things good, like, we can start with that and build around it and put you in a position where, if you're versatile, we can use you. Between the crazy bullpen management of Kevin Cash to bringing in guys from Japan like Yoshitomo Sasugo or last year Ji-Man Choi was kind of this guy that came out of nowhere and showed that, like, no, he can bring it on the American League stage and in the Major League Baseball. So you look at guys like even Austin Meadows or Hunter Renfroe, guys that were good for other teams, and they're finally starting to bring some of these guys into Tampa to build with that really good pipeline that the Rays have been building with guys like Kevin Kiermaier, and now you're seeing that fruit with the Rays. Arozarena, I guess the point is that he's one of just many guys that the Rays kind of take their chances on, and Arozarena is one that has just hit at the right time, and like you said, we hope it's not just a one-hit wonder. The third point that I'll make is we didn't expect Arozarena to be this great, and I mean, that's awesome, but we did expect a Cy Young winner like Blake Snell. We expected a guy who's won the World Series like Charlie Morton and Tyler Glasnow. We expected them to be that, what I called that three-headed monster. And the third point is that these guys are getting the job done in this series. I mean, game one, you have Blake Snell battles really well against Garrett Cole. And so really, I had said last week that Garrett Cole was really the main pitching threat for the Yankees. So as long as you can battle and be even, which we pretty much were. I mean, the home runs are flying, but they're flying for both teams. And so it wasn't until they took Snell out that the bullpen kind of let us down, and they had that explosion of 5 runs. But that's what you really want. You said your guys are going to throw your best ace out. We're going to throw Blake Snell out, but we still have 2 more bullets in the chamber. So game 2 comes around, and you have Tyler Glasnow, who steadies the ship. He comes out, 5 innings pitched. He only gives up 3 hits, 3 walks, and strikes out 10 guys. And that's exactly what the Yankees really can't do. I mean, they responded by throwing a really young and upcoming guy, hard-throwing Davy Garcia. But in reality, they were trying to okey doke the Rays, and actually they're going to throw out Jay Happ as the bulk starter, or getting the bulk of the innings starting in the second. But the Rays, though, it's slow and steady wins it for the Rays, and it's like we know when we put Blake Snell, we're going to get a good outing. And Glasnow, we absolutely are happy with 10 Ks over 5 innings, only to follow that up with Game 3. Now we can throw out Charlie Morton, and all he did was only give up 4 hits, 1 earned run, and he struck out 6 guys. So it's this in the postseason. It is the 1 or 2 guys that can hit your home runs, but if you're going to win the 4 games, the 3 games that it's going to take to win a series, you have to have legitimate pitching threats. And for the Rays, it's their starting pitching, and the Yankees haven't quite been able to solve that yet.
And let's hope they don't solve it anytime soon.
Yeah, unfortunately, Game 4, they're not going to throw Snell back out on Game 4, which I think is smart because
right.
I think that Snell can come in Game 5, and then now you're ready to have Glasnow or Morton pitch Game 1 against whoever, but or come in, if need be, winner go home Game 5. You have Snell go 3 or 4 innings, then you bring in Glasnow for 2 innings or what, and then you go to you see where you go from there, maybe. But it might not have to come to that because Game 4, it is a bullpen game. They're going to throw out Ryan Thompson first tonight against the Yankees, and then maybe have, say, Ryan Yarborough or do most of the pitching, and then have Nick Anderson or Peter Fairbanks come in to close it out. And that doesn't worry me at all because after the starting pitching, the bullpen's been okay. The Game 1 was an anomaly because Game 1 they did blow it, but other than that, the fourth point I'll make is that the Rays bullpen has been the difference in the 2 games that the Rays have won. So John Curtis comes out and just gets rocked in the top of the 9th. He only gets 2 outs, but by then he had given up 5 earned runs and a home run. So Game 2, Kevin Cash, man, I think he's got some cojones, man, because he goes out there and puts in Nick Anderson in the clutch. And all Nick Anderson does in the 7th inning is strike out Gary Sanchez, DJ LeMahieu, and the power-hitting Aaron Judge in order. And it was at that point where putting him in the 7th inning, it was still a 2-run game. It was 6-4. And because of that, the Rays then extended their lead in the next inning, and they were able to really just bring it away. Now, there was a little bit of hesitation at the end of that game. I think we were all sweating when Peter Fairbanks almost blew the save. But even he had 2 strikeouts to just close the door and win the game. But what was really encouraging is that in Game 3, our guy John Curtis goes back out there. And kudos to Kevin Cash. You got, it's only a 5-game series, and so you throw out John Curtis in Game 3. The Rays have the lead, okay? But after a really good performance by Charlie Morton, 5 innings, you bring in Curtis, who pitches the 6th and most of the 7th, and he strikes out a guy, keeps the ball in the yard, no earned runs, and he gets to kind of redeem himself from the awful performance in the top of the 9th by pretty much closing the door on the Yankees in Game 3. So I think that the Kevin Cash is highly confident in his bullpen, especially Peter Fairbanks, Nick Anderson, and John Curtis, that these guys can come in high leverage situations and they won't embarrass themselves. I mean, what's the nickname he gave them? They're all hard throwing. Like, he's like, I got a whole stable full of guys that throw 98, and we're not afraid to come against these Yankees who. This has been a pretty crazy rivalry for the last year or two, and he's kind of lived and died by the sword with his bullpen unit, and so far they've come through with one or two minor glitches, or major glitches, but overall I'm pretty confident that when they throw out any of these guys after the three-headed monster, we're going to be okay.
I think so too.
I just hope that we can survive this Game 4. So that's really my big takeaway, is that in Game 4 they have to limit Giancarlo Stanton from hitting long balls. I mean, really, that's been their offense. If the pitching has kept Judge relatively under control. Gary Sanchez has been non-existent. Gleyber Torres hasn't really done much. DJ LeMahieu, he's got long ball power. He hasn't done much. And the pitching performance has really just been able to keep these guys in check. And you've had guys like Randy Arozarena, but also I think that in the Game 4 and Game 5, if they can continue to get offense from unexpected places like they're catching. I mean, you've got Michael Perez and Mike Zunino, who they're even hitting extra base hits and home runs. So it's 1 through 9 on the lineup, coupled with the Rays just showing their dominance on the mound. And so that's kind of what I hope for Game 4 and Game 5, because it's what we've seen so far. It hasn't been fluky performances. It's been steady strength against strength against the Yankees.
Oh, totally, absolutely. I can definitely agree to that. It's and that's what makes this game and series so fun to watch. Is just two teams just going back at it, and I mean, not just any two teams. I mean, we're talking about the Rays and the Yankees, who've always had a history of being great teams, and definitely a rivalry has always been present. So it's really nice to see, and I'm happy. It's nice to see the Rays, up right now. Obviously, as a Tampa Bay Rays fan, I'm really happy right now, and I'm hoping the Rays can seal it. It's I don't think the Yankees are gonna go down with the fight is definitely something to consider. So we'll see how it goes, but just hoping for the best. It's Jordan Montgomery, at least, who's pitching tonight. I think he's not going to give any easy balls to our Rays. So, yeah. But then I'm also hoping maybe. And hopefully Randy or anyone else, Randy Arozarena and anyone else can find some opportunities to get some runs, because I think this game might be the hardest game they've played so far in the series. It's down to the nitty gritty, to say, one run. The way I'm feeling about this game tonight, it's gonna be a 1-run kind of ball game win
I think so
for either team.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that there was a little bit more hope in Game 3 that it was going to be more, singles and doubles setting up some runs rather than just the home run hitting. Because I think that at some point, as we go deeper and deeper into these series, that you're going to see games more like that rather than the home run fest that we've seen. Just by the nature of seeing these guys for 5 straight days. I mean, the Yankees Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now we got Thursday, and hopefully we close it out. But if not, it's right back at it. You got 24 hours, and you're going to be back on the mound and back in the batter's box. So, I guess the one thing I'll leave this before we go is, you know what I really want to see? I want to see our boy Shane McClanahan. He's a USF Bull, right? He's the guy who they brought him in garbage time, and he became the first pitcher to ever make his MLB debut in a postseason game. And I mean, they did my Bull dirty, man. They did our Bull dirty. He gives up a grand slam, but of course the game's pretty much already over. Let's get my boy Shane, some run support. Let's have the Rays up 10 runs, right? And then bring in Shane to kind of just get 2 or 3 innings, right? And get him some well-deserved spotlight and some well-deserved time on the mound, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's going to do it for RBLR Sports this week. We do appreciate you listening to today's show. It's an odd week because we're recording this show on the same night that there are the big Bucs and the big Rays games. But we appreciate you listening. And remember to like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, give us that 5-star review. It really helps us out. On all forms of social media, Twitter, Facebook, we are at RBLR Sports on Instagram. Anywhere you go, we are at RBLR Sports. And I do have a voicemail box coming soon. We set it up. I just got to do the final little tweaks and stuff and record an intro, I guess, for the message and get my Google Voice box all set up. But we're gonna want to hear from you. So next week, we'll be throwing out the voice mailbox line on all our social media, so you can get your voice heard. And we want to hear what your questions are for myself and Masab. Masab, man, anything before we go, buddy?
Just I hope you all enjoyed this week's podcast, and things are just gonna get better and better. We always wanna hear what you all think of our podcast and what you think
Absolutely.
of our hot takes about the Rays, Lightning, or the Buccaneers. That's really about it, and even the Rowdies as well. So,
yeah, man. I mean, I'm not going to act like I know the most things about the Rowdies, but I know that they are going against Birmingham this weekend in the USL Championship playoffs. So look, I'm going to pay attention, and maybe I'll have a couple thoughts on the Rowdies moving on in the playoffs. So who knows? But I know that for sure. It will be here at RBLR Sports. Let's go Rays. Let's go Bucs. Let's go Rowdies. Even the Lightning. They drafted like 39 dudes in the draft. Let's go. We'll see you guys in 3 years. But keep raising the Stanley Cup, and let's go get us more trophies, guys. Thank you very much. Wasab, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys later on.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.